I'm Lindsay with an E from Prince Edward Island, and welcome to Poetry in the Field, where I share some of my favorite poems from some of my favorite places. This morning I am perched rather precariously on the riverbank, all for the sake of these golden lovelies, the first daffodils of spring. And who better to pair with April daffodils than William Wordsworth? Wordsworth was an English poet writing in the late 1700s and early 1800s. He was one of the Romantics, a contemporary of Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and I find Wordsworth to be a kindred spirit for a couple of reasons. First was his ability to write about very simple incidents, and it was through these simple and ordinary events and encounters that he was able to see and find a deeper meaning, something that provided a rich food for the mind and for the soul. So wherever he went, he could find inspiration, and I find that inspirational myself. His poetry was also very rooted in nature, and nature was a great healer for Wordsworth. He found that after a time of very significant mental crisis, that nature was one of the things that brought healing back to him. And I have found that to be true in my own life as well. It was actually an experience with nature that set Wordsworth off on his poetic career. He wrote of an experience he had when he was only 14, when he looked up and he saw these ordinary tree boughs. They were silhouetted against a bright evening sky, and it was that experience that awakened that poetic sensibility in him. He saw for the first time the variety and delight of nature in a way that he never had before. And that incident reminds me also of Brother Lawrence. He writes of his own conversion as a young man at the age of 18, when he was out in the winter and he saw a tree stripped of its leaves, but he considered how soon enough the leaves would bud and the flowers would come, and then would follow the fruit. And he saw in this just the providence and the power of God. And it was that recognition that led him to devote his life to a life of service and kindled in him this lasting love for God. And so for both of those men, it was nature, it was creation that allowed them to see glimpses of a deeper reality beyond. And so this morning we are here with the humble yet beautiful daffodil, and in case you hadn't already guessed, the poem I'd like to read for you this morning is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. This was written after a walk with his sister one April day. Here you have it. I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Delightful poem from William Wordsworth. Hope you enjoyed, and and I look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Poetry in the Field.